everyone, and welcome to my corner of the world. Today's card serves two purposes. One, I'm going to share another technique using stamping blends, and the other is to show you or remind you about two-step stamping. So the stamp set I've chosen to use is Nuts About Squirrels. And it's a photopolymer stamp set, so it means that it's clear, so you can see through it. And the stamps come in with these like cellophane type sheets. But then when you have used them, you can then match them up against these pictures. And so at a glance, you're able to see that you've got all your stamps, which is useful for me because sometimes I forget them and leave them on the block and then I can't remember which stamp set they belong to. So that's the stamp set we're using. And we're going to start with the, oh, here it is. I'm going to start my stamping with the little squirrel. So my two colours are Calypso Coral and Petal Pink, and they give quite a nice contrast for my outline, and it's nice and soft rather than using maybe a darker brown or black. So I'm going to start with the outline. So I'm just going to load up with a little ink. Now, you don't need a lot, so I've just been tapping gently, and I'm just going to line a little guy down like that. Well, that didn't go so well. Well, that's why there's two sides to a piece of card, because you can flip it over and try again. Maybe I just needed a bit more pressure. Ha, perfect. So there's my little guy for the outside, and then I'm going to do the same for my envelope because I like to have decorated envelopes, and then my inside piece for my card. I like to put in a paler piece that I can write my greeting on, unless I'm using a white card for base. So there's my stamping for my outline. And now this stamp here, this one is to put the filler in. And if you look closely, you can see that there is a little hole in it, as well as his paws and his ears. And that's for the eye. So you need to match that up with the eye on the little guy that you've just stamped. So I'm going, as I said a moment ago, to use Petal Pink. And when I use my pads, I like to just push them in and leave about an inch hanging out. That's my handle, so that when I come to close it, it's easy to pull. If you're a bit like me and got some arthritic fingers, if you push it in too much, it can be difficult to actually pull out again without getting ink all over your fingers. So I'm going to ink up this little guy, and again, trying very hard not to get my head in the picture, I'm going to line up on the eye, and the tail actually goes to the top, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. I hope I've got that. Oh, that's not too bad. So it doesn't fill the entire tail, and he's got a little white tummy and a little white piece under his chin, and that's how it's supposed to look. So I'll just do that again. See if I can, I'm probably chancing my luck a little bit here, doing it more than once. There we go. All right, so those are my pieces. And I'm going to layer the little piece here onto a piece of this absolutely delicious rose gold specialty paper. Now you get the rose gold and you get like the regular gold, but I'm using the pinky one at the moment. So I've just realized that I didn't actually stamp the little branch that he's on. So let's go pop him in, try and make it look like his paws are on there. Did I get my head in the thing? If I did, I apologize. Okay, so I am just going to attach this to a little, with a little liquid adhesive onto my piece of really lovely gold paper, rose gold paper, like that. And I'm also using the square vellum doilies. So this is what they look like. And I'm just using a small piece. I've just cut a piece off and I'm going to attach that to the back of my front piece. And I'm just going to catch that down with a little bit of Scotch tape. There we are. That just makes it, oh, it's a little stray piece of card there. That just makes it a little bit more elegant. And then we're gonna pop him up onto some dimensionals like that. And that bit's ready for the next part of the process. So I'm using Petal Pink cardstock, and I'm also using some designer series paper. Now this is 5 1/4 by 4, and it's from the Europeach set, a pack of paper. And I chose this one because it's got a really nice delicate little print on it, and they're tiny little peaches, but they look like little rosebuds to me. So let me explain why I'm making my card today. Earlier this week we had a new member join our family, and it's a great niece for me, so it's my nephew's daughter, and they live in the UK, so it's going to be some considerable time before I get to meet her. Her name is Camille, and so they didn't want to know whether they were expecting a little boy or a little girl. So she was born on Sunday, the 29th of August, and I found out a little bit later that day, but it meant I couldn't make a card ahead of time. So I had to sort of rush round and think about what I was going to do for her. So that's the story behind my card. Now I am going to do a little greeting. Now I don't have any baby set or sets suitable for babies, and so I decided, I'm going to pull this forward just so I can see, bear with me, excuse my head. So I decided that the best thing I could do was to use the words "hey there," and then when I come to write it inside the card, I can say "hey there" and then put, you know, welcome to the family or something like that. So that's how I worked it. And I just thought that the little squirrel was just such a cute little guy that it would do for a new baby card. So I've got another strip of my lovely paper there, and I'm just attached it with and then I'm just going to cut at an angle. And I've done this on a lot of cards, and I do have a video on with a bit more detail on that. And I'm just going to stick that down on there. Now I've forgotten to give you some of the measurements. So the rose gold piece was 2 7/8 by 2 7/8, and then my basic white piece was 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. But you don't need to remember that, because if you look below this video, there'll be a link to my blog, and on the blog will be all the information on how I created this card, and a link to my online store so that you could go look for the supplies, so you could make one of these cards as well. I figured that if they'd have had a little boy, I probably would have gone ahead and made the same card, only just done it in blues. So a couple of pearls on there just to give it a little bit of a lift. Perhaps I'll put one down here. And so there's my card. I just need to stick the liner in. And when I first laid down the stamp, the ink, on the second step of my stamping, I don't know if you noticed, but I did, that it didn't really look very smooth. It kind of looked a weeny bit blotchy. But as it sat there and dried out, it's come in as really rather smooth. So you just need to let the ink sort of soak in for a few moments. So now we come to the next part. This is where I'm going to show you another technique for your blends. Now I've got here, this is crinkled seam binding ribbon, and it's 1/4 inch thick, and it's lovely for bows. And I've also got my light Calypso Coral blend and a silicone mat, and that really is just to protect my workbench. Now they don't have any of the Calypso Coral ribbon in the Stampin' Up catalogue at the moment, so I'm going to use my blend to create some ribbon for my card. And all I'm doing, as I've told you in the past, I'm using the side of the brush end of my blend to lay down some ink on my ribbon. And I can see that there's a little bit of a join there where I coloured it before and it sort of dried and it looks a bit uneven. So depending on the depth, I'm actually using the light coloured one. There, you can use the dark coloured one. You can use it a couple, you can let it dry for a few moments, and then you can go over your ribbon again. But I'm just going to use this to soak up the extra ink I've got on there. Now, as I've said before, because these blender pens are alcohol based, it dries pretty quickly. So I'm just, it's nearly dry. So I'm just going to tie myself a quick bow. So I use the rabbit ear technique. So just do 2 little rabbit ears, and then I'm going to pass that under the loop, cross them over, pass it under the loop, and pull. Now I also have a video on how I do my ribbons, my bows, and I sort of do it very slowly and several times. So again, if you follow the link below, it'll take you to my blog, and on my blog I will have a link to my to my video on tying bows. Okay, so I think I have everything done now. Here we go. I do hope you've enjoyed this video and the two techniques I've shown you, which is the two-step stamping as well as using your stamping blends to colour some ribbon. Well, I've enjoyed showing you these techniques and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye bye for now.